Topic here is Allentown. So I may or may not use a Google form, or this may be completed in class. And so Allentown, this is about inequities at the school, public schools. And so there should be a image here. Apparently there isn't. Where you have, let's say, you are the mayor of Allentown. Allentown consists of 3 sections. The black E in the sections represents a potential elementary or middle school. Designate on the map home values for each section based on criteria. So what's happening here is we have 3 sections, A, B, and C. And in section A, you have home values at this particular amount. In section B, it's at this amount here. And so the issue now become, let me do this again, A, B, C. Multiply 10 times 100,000 to determine how much each individual section must pay for their home. Now multiply 10 to 100,000 for section B and 3. This is the total amount homeowners must pay for their home. Homes are in the section tax money. How much will I? So what you need to figure out is based on the amount. Each section is being charged a certain percentage. So in this case, it's 10%. So 10% of 100,000, 10% of 200,000, and I think here, what is it, 300,000? That is going to determine how much people pay in taxes, and it's going to vary. The people in these sections are going to be paying more. Now, keep in mind, they are being charged the same tax rate. Question 3, you must now decide on the building your elementary school. You can spend the tax rate income from each section and build one school for each section based on their section's taxable income. Or you can add the total of A, B, and C and create 3 equal schools of value. What will you do and why? So ultimately what is going on here is you have to determine how are you going to set up your school funding. So each section is paying at the end, they are paying the same tax rate of 10%, but overall the section in A are going to be paying the least amount in taxes. Keep in mind they are being asked to pay the same 10%. The people in C, because their homes are worth more, they are paying more money in taxes, but they are taxed at the same 10%. So the question here is, where are you going to put your elementary school? Do you create one school and then everybody goes there having equality, or do you change the situation and say, no, we are going to make this where whatever amount you pay, that will determine how much your school is going to get. So, this one, it'll be based on how much they pay in taxes, which is going to lead to a situation of inequality because the people in C are going to have more money to put to their school. Or is it fair to take all of the money and create an equal school with equal funding? So that's the way you want to complete this sheet. And, we'll be looking at, inequities within the schools. So these are statistics that are looking at different schools. Here we're comparing Old Bridge to South Brunswick and South River. So you could see some of their test scores and the racial and ethnic makeup. Economically disadvantaged, which is looking at how many students are economically disadvantaged. And so if we're looking at, let's see, this is South Brunswick. Economically disadvantaged students, it is 10% of enrollment. Whereas here in Old Bridge, it is 24%, and then here in South River, it is 42%. So we have more economically disadvantaged students here as opposed to in this particular school. Let's continue looking at some of the data. Here we're looking at language arts proficiency. We're comparing again Old Bridge, South River, and South Brunswick. And we're looking at school-wide proficiency on this particular test. So we see the state percentile, and we can see kind of what the school performance is on this particular assessment. I also threw in the situation here of Camden, and here we could see their language arts and proficiency. They're here at 56%. Here it looks like 99%, 96%. And then we see some inequity with regard to performance. Here we see AP classes. So we see the list of the schools. Once again, we see Old Bridge, South River, Camden. Camden only offering 1 AP class in comparison to some of these other towns that seem to have more. So you got to think about if you're in this school and the school only offers 1 AP class in comparison to, I don't know, let's say 20 over here, is it equal? Does every student have access to education? Let's move on to funding. This is looking at the amount of money that is being spent. So here we see South Brunswick, the cost per pupil. Notice the year is 2010, 2011. And it's interesting to see kind of where these numbers change. And I always leave this here. That way, when you're looking at it for the year, you can make a comparison to determine whether or not there have been any changes since 2010 and 2011. So here we're looking at the average. Let's see, total spending per pupil. Old Bridge is 16,000. South Brunswick is 15,000. South River looks like 13,000. Then we look at Camden. Camden's cost per pupil is 23,000. So this definitely raises some issues. Why is Camden not performing? And it also looks at the question whether or not money is going to solve inequities. So you may or may not be asked to compare data, where you're comparing different schools. You want to compare Camden to Old Bridge, Newark to South Brunswick, Perth Amboy to Princeton. Do not compare. You have to focus on comparing these. Don't try to compare Perth Amboy to Camden or anything like that. Just use the comparison here. What you want to do is just kind of look at some of the data to make look at the data and determine whether or not something like equal schools exists for all Americans, for all high school students. So feel free to access any of these particular files. And that's it.